Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today in this Oracle Hospitality How-To session. In today's session, we are very happy to cover the how to set up your workstation for Opera version 5 as well as in Opera Cloud version 1.20. But first, allow me to introduce ourselves. My name is Nitin Anand, and I'm a principal solution engineer for the JPAC region based in Noida, India. I have been in hospitality industry from past 23 years. With me is my colleague Maria Paula Bosanti, who is a senior implementation consultant for Opera PMS. She has been with Oracle since 2012 and is based out of Melbourne, Australia. Before we begin our session today, please direct your attention to our safe harbor statement. The main intention of this session is to guide you on how to set up Workstation to run with Opera applications. I will pass on mic to Maria now. Maria, over to you.
Thank you, Nitin. Hello, everyone, too. Thank you for being here today. Before we begin, I would like to say that this presentation is meant as an overview in understanding the different components you will need for Opera to run smoothly in your workstations. Certain parts have been summarized due to time limitations for this session, so we ask you to please refer to the full workstation setup guides before you install Opera in your next PC. We will link you to those guides at the end of this session. In this session, we will go over some considerations regarding today's subject, followed by the workstation setup for Opera version 5, the workstation setup for Opera Cloud, and finally, we will share our resources where you can get more information. The purpose of this session is to ensure you can implement a fast and easy setup of new workstations at your property. Maintain a standard of operations, and therefore obtain a consistent experience by setting up all your workstations in the same way. Also reduce user frustration by preventing errors that may arise from incorrect or incomplete setups. When preparing your workstations to use Opera, please be aware of the following. For Opera version 5, the computers must run on Windows 7, 8, or 10 Professional Edition or later. The user which you log into the computer must be administrator or have the same rights as administrator. This is due to things that need installation, and then for properly administrator rights are needed. The browser to run Opera version 5 will be Internet Explorer only. And finally, the applications you will need to install are listed here on the screen, which are Java, Terminal Register, Print Control, and Adobe Reader. We will go over each of them in particular shortly. If you are preparing for Opera Cloud, the computers can run any operating system. This includes Windows and iOS. There is no user restriction since the setup is very simple and you don't need to install. Any browser can run Opera Cloud, such as Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari, and also Internet Explorer. And finally, the only extra application we will need to install is the Adobe Reader for reporting. So now let's go through the requirements to set up a workstation for Opera version 5. Our first step will be to download Java. Java is a programming language and computing platform. There are millions of applications that run on Java, and Opera version 5 is one of them. Java is free and easy to download from the official java.com website, where you will be able to download the latest version compatible to your operating system. Once Java is downloaded, you would need to open the configuration and add some specific settings. You can open Java configuration from your control panel. Once in Java configuration, the security tab will have an exception site list, and you must add your Opera URL to this list of exceptions, both as HTTP prefix and as HTTPS prefix. If you don't do this step, Java will block Opera from running, and the users won't be able to access it. Your Opera URL is what you type in to access Opera. Additionally, the Advanced tab will have several settings, of which we must select Use TLS 1.0, Use TLS 1.1, and Use TLS 1.2. There are more settings and checkboxes within the Advanced tab that we might recommend, so please do refer to the full setup guide for the full list. But these right now on the screen are the basic ones. Next, we move on to preparing the setup for, sorry, let me go back. There we go. Next, we move on to preparing Internet Explorer for Opera. We must navigate to the tools and internet options to access these menus. First, the security tab, and in this tab, we must add Opera URL to trusted sites list, both with the prefix for HTTPS and HTTP, just like we did with Java. We must change our security level to medium and enable the ActiveX control and plugins. In the privacy tab, we must turn off the pop-up blocker. Yes, so turn on pop-up blocker is the option, and we must make sure that is unselected. Furthermore, in the Advanced tab, similar to our settings in Java, we will check the boxes for the 3 TLS versions, as well as disabling the Smart Screen filter. Finally, in the Internet Explorer tools menu, to manage add-ons, we must disable all the add-ons except the one for Java and Adobe. All right. To finalize our setup, we will need to edit some settings in Adobe Reader, which will allow us to preview Opera reports. So on Adobe Reader, if we go to Edit Preference Options, which is also opened by Control K, we will have two different tabs that we have settings on. So the General tab, we must unselect Enable Protected Mode, our startup. And on the Security Enhanced tab, we must unselect Enable Enhanced Security, and we must select Automatically Trust Sites from my WinOS security zones. These settings in Adobe Reader will make it possible for you to preview reports from Opera. Last but not least, once we have logged into Opera, we will go to the miscellaneous print tasks and indicate where our reports should print from our new workstation. So whether you're using Opera version 5 on-premise or hosted, the steps to set up the same are the same as they were just shown to you. Finally, the following 4 client-side applications are automatically installed once you open Opera for the first time. Just in case they do not automatically download and run and install themselves, these are the URLs you can enter in your browser to prompt the download of this installation files so the applications install. So in this URL, what you have to change is your Opera URL, replace it to your actual Opera domain. These links will fetch installation files from our Opera application server, which you must run once they are downloaded. And this is one of the parts of installation where it's important that you're logged in as administration user. Otherwise, this will fail to install correctly. Also, these run in seconds, so this is a very fast setup. Now let's see the workstation setup for Opera Cloud. Opera Cloud does not need Java or client-side applications, so we will only configure our browsers to make sure it runs smoothly. The following settings apply to any browser you choose to run Opera on Cloud in. Since the particular instructions vary from browser to browser, we will only point out what's necessary and leave the details on how to apply it in your browser to yourself. First of all, we must always allow pop-ups for Opera Cloud. This prevents users to manually have to click and allow every time Opera wants to open something in a new window. To achieve this, we can either disable pop-up blocker altogether or allow an exception to the Opera Cloud URL. Secondly, we can configure a retain cache policy. This will allow faster loading as the browser will save forms. And if you're worried about saving your cache, remember that you can manually clear this cache from Opera Cloud application at any time. Finally, when saving the Opera Cloud bookmark or shortcut in your browser, ensure it's pointed at the correct Opera Cloud URL. This is the official URL without any extensions at the end, so just ending in .com. Users will log in, then save or bookmark the page after logging in, and by doing so, they are actually saving a link which they were redirected through during their login process. By saving a redirected link, once that you will use it again, their session might drop and they will get logged off and there will be just issues. So ensure that after you're saving your Opera Cloud URL, you edit that link and clean it all the way until it just says .com. Now, as I said before, we do not have to install any client-side applications. So the next and final step for setting up is just the Adobe Reader. This will be to preview our reports without any issues. The settings are the ones as previously mentioned for Opera version 5. So on the preferences, we will enable protected mode or startup, unselect enable enhanced security, and select automatically trust sites from my Windows OS security zones. What's additional for Opera Cloud is that the Adobe Reader plugin for the browser, so we have to ensure that we activate and enable the plugins. Here are some examples on how to do this for Google Chrome and for Mozilla Firefox. So after following these steps, your workstations will be ready to run Opera Cloud and Opera version 5 as well. Now we hand it back to Nitin, who will tell you where to find the full workstation setup guides for further information.
Thank you, Maria, for this informative session, and I'm sure our audience will find it useful in setting up the workstation to run Opera applications. Everyone, please do join us on again on Tuesday, that is 2nd of October, for our next session, how to set up enhanced discounts for microspots. Now, we have all this documentation published on Oracle documents are published as well on Oracle docs.oracle.com, which provides useful information about Oracle products and services with guides, APIs, contents for use cases, and targeted solutions. The Oracle Hospitality page provides documentation specifically related to hotels and casinos. You can go to any search engine, type Oracle Hospitality documentation, and click on the web page. Now, under that, you will see a hotels section, and under hotels section, you can click on Opera Property Management for Opera V5 documents. Under V5 documentations, you have deployment, where you can look for a workstation setup guide. So what Maria has covered, we can see under the documentation guide as well. Hope this session was a helpful guide to set up the workstation. Please feel free to reach out to our support team via our My Oracle support or MOS the portal for any assistance. Or you can reach Sales Account Manager as well for any assistance. So thank you very much for attending our session today. Have a good day.